everyone, welcome to Jay's Techie Crown. Today in this video, we are going to discuss in detail about the US immigration, B2 extension and change of status. Due to this COVID-19 pandemic, most people who traveled into USA on a temporary visa are unable to return back to their own countries due to international travel. They are stuck in US and in order to maintain their legal status, they should go for extension or change of status. So in this video, I'm going to explain you in detail about the process of extending your visitor visa or the change of status from a non-immigrant visa into a visitor visa. Come, let's get into the. Here is the agenda of the video. The first thing we will be discussing is on the eligibility. When I talk about eligibility, I'm going to discuss about the basic checks a person has to do before he or she applies for an B2 extension. Also, I'm going to discuss about what are the type of visas they can go for the change of status. For example, a person on F2, L2, H4 can go for change of status. Also, a person who is on non-immigrant visa, nothing but H1B, whose visa has got denied or nearing the max out, can change to B2 visa in order to maintain the legal status. Also, we are going to discuss about the step-by-step process in filing the extension or change of status and the list of documents that are required in order to process the B2 extension or change of status and the biometrics and the frequently asked questions. These are the few checks that a person has to do before he goes for an extension or change of status. The first one would be the valid or legitimate reason. The person should have a valid reason for his stay. And secondly, he or she should have been legally and lawfully admitted into a US with a non-immigrant visa in case of change of status. Or he can be on a visitor visa and he should be legally admitted. And third thing, his US visa should remain valid. When you go for applying extension, there should be valid I-94 before you apply for extension. And you should not have committed any crimes during your stay in US. And also, you should not have violated the conditions of your visa terms and conditions. For example, if a person who arrived into US on a visitor visa should be never worked and they should follow the terms and conditions of their. And the next thing is your passport should be valid. You should have minimum of 6 months validity when you go for extension or change of status. Also, there should be definite plans to leave US at the end of your stay. And finally, you should be able to provide the evidence for your financial. Here comes a list of documents that one has to be ready with while doing the extension or change of status. The first one is filling the form I-539 and second one would be G1145. So I will show you the form I-539 and I-539A. Also, you should know the difference between the form I-539 and 539A. Secondly, G1145, which is for the e-notification. It's a single page document which I have shown in my previous video. You can have a look into my previous video to understand about the details and how to fill the form G1145. And the third thing would be the cover letter. A cover letter is a letter mentioning about the reason for your stay. For example, due to this COVID-19, there is international travel ban and due to which you are unable to travel back to your own country. So you can mention the same in the cover letter. The next one would be the valid I-94, which you can download from the online portal, and then your passport copy, and you should be able to submit the biometrics page, the first and last page of your passport, and then the form I-134. This form is to sponsor a visa applicant and show they will not become public charges while in the United States. And finally, you can attach your return airline ticket and your sponsor pay stubs, W2, employment letter, I-797 and bank statements as evidence of financial support. Now, let us look into the step-by-step process of filing a form I-539. Before we start, let me tell you the difference between form I-539 and I-539A. I-539 is a form used by the primary applicant, for example, spouse of an F1 or H1 who is applying for change of status. And for the dependent's child, he or she should go for I-539A. For any child, you can use the form I-539A, and there should be a separate form for each child you are trying to apply for change of status. And then the sample cover letter, as I discussed in the previous slide, you have to collect the proof of financial support during this extended stay. And finally, the copy of your return tickets and copy of I-94 for each applicant. Come, let's get into the step-by-step process of filling the form I-539. So before I start the process, I just want to show you the difference about form I-539 and I-539A. Form I-539 would be used by the primary applicant, and all the dependents of the primary applicant will go under form I-539A. In case of B2 extension, since there is no dependence, you can directly go ahead with form I-539. Also, if you are applying as an individual, then you can go ahead with online application as well. So it would be much faster. Then, so along with this form I-539, you can attach the sample cover letter, your proof of financial support, copy of your return tickets, and your copy of I-94 and the passport page, as mentioned in the previous slide about the list of documents. The form I-539. So before you start filling, check the form and the validity date. So the expiry shows 10/31/2021. Make sure the expiry date is valid, and then start filling the form. So once you come to the form, you have to mention the family name and given name as in the passport. Then proceed with your US mailing address. So if your US mailing address and physical address remains the same, then you do not have to fill the physical address. Then fill the other information about you, the country of birth, country of citizenship, date of birth, and your US social security number. If you have any, you can mention the social security number, any if you have, and then the date of last arrival into United States. You can check this particular date from your stamped passport or from your I-94 form. Then mention the I-94 arrival departure record number, your passport number. Then coming to part 1, mention the country of passport, travel document expiration date, and your current non-immigration status. You can select from the immigration status over here. It lists all the status. So you can mention the status, whether you are from H1B or H4 dependent. So you can select the same. Expiry date of your visa. And then here comes the most important part, part 2. In part 2, in case if you are applying for change of status, select this option, a change of status. And in case if it's for extension of B2, then go ahead with particular option. So in case of change of status, you can mention the date over here. You can mention any of this date. And in case of change of status, I'm requesting is B2. You can mention B2. You can select the option as B2 temporary visa for pressure. Also, if you are planning to apply for multiple people, then select the option members of my family are filing this application with me. Then enter the count of numbers. Under part 3, you can mention the extended until date. And then is this application based on extension or change of status? So answer appropriately. So it should be no. Then coming to part 2B, 3A, 2B can be left empty. And then 3A, is this application based on a separate petition or application to provide your spouse, child, or parent an extension or change of status? Yes. And you can leave the other sections. So coming to the physical address abroad, mention the permanent address in India or abroad. Coming to part 4, you can mention all the sections as no. Just try to read each and every one of them and select appropriately. In most of the cases, it would be no. So I'll select no for everything. Killing any person, acts involving torture or genocide. So I mentioned everything no. In case if you feel that you are about to select yes, then check and then select appropriately. To page 4. So under page 4, you can mention the public benefits. You can select these two options as no, which mention like Since obtaining the non-immigrant status that you seek to extend or from which you seek to change, have you received or are you currently certified to receive any of the following public benefits? Select yes. So mostly in case of B2 extension, it will be no. So try to mention no for these two scenarios. And then you can ignore rest of the columns on page 4 and page 5. So under page 5, under the applicant's contact information, mention your contact number and email ID and select this option under part 6, applicant statement and contact. And this is the most important page. In page 6, you have to sign over here mentioning the date. So you have to sign on page 6 under 6.a and mention 6.b. In case if you're doing this through an attorney will take care of part 7 and other sections. But generally, if you're doing by yourself, then we have to concentrate till page number 6. Under page 9, in case of any additional information, you can mention over there under page 9, under page 8, and you can leave it empty. So hope this gives you an idea about how to fill form I-539. Here is the form I-539A. So in case if you're going to file for your dependents, then you have to use form I-539A. Make sure you file one form per dependent. For example, in case of an H1 who is going for a B2 change of status, then if he has 3 dependents, then go ahead with 3 form I-539A. Coming to the fee, so there is a fee of $370 per application. So as I mentioned here, if you're applying for spouse and children, they are included in the same fee. But there will be a separate biometric fee for each person. You have to pay a biometric fee of $85 per applicant. That means if you have a spouse and child, then you have to pay 85 into 2. So coming to the points to remember. So what are the things we have to remember before we start doing the B2 extension or change status? The first thing is you have to apply 60 days before your I-94 expiry. And then in case of approval, you will be issued a replacement I-94 with a new departure date. So in case of denial, you will have 30 days to depart from the date on the letter notified. So make sure you apply 60 days before your I-94 expiry, even for extension or for change of status. What in case if you have overstayed in a B2 or in a non-immigrant visa? So there may be a chance that you may not be allowed to enter USA, or you may be deported if you do not leave at the time. So make sure you apply for extension or change of status on time to maintain your legal status in US. So coming to the frequently asked questions, the first one would be, can it be applied after I-94 expiry? No. Always you should apply 60 days before. Even if it is 30 days before, it's fine, but you should apply before your I-94 expiry date. And secondly, can we apply online? So what is the eligibility? Yes, you can apply online, but there are certain conditions. So what are the conditions? In order to apply online, you should be a single applicant and there should be no co-applicants. Also, you will not require legal or accredited representation at any point in your request. So only when you satisfy these two conditions, you are eligible to apply online. Third thing would be, is there any difference for paper or online filing? No, the fee is same. And can we apply for second extension on B2? Yes, you can apply for second extension on B2, but there are certain conditions on second extension. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and hit like as a token of thanks for this information. Thank you once again.